I just have to say, doesn't it feel good to be doing something?
Yes.
They're doing weather bridge around.
Okay.
Tell me when it's
I don't have anything from the board.
My name's Tara Nelson from Damascus, Oregon, and I wanted to go over some of our school board, North Clackamas board policies. Flag displays and statues. Students shall receive instruction in respect to the national flag and be provided the opportunity to salute the U.S. flag at least once each week during the school year by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to see our board do that at the beginning of each meeting. We are also already recognizing Oregon's sovereign tribal government, so let's do both together. Site councils. The district shall establish a site council at each school in accordance with state requirements. That would involve a community and a voice of participation. Opening board meetings. We have asked why we're not allowed to have the board meetings open, even if they're to be hybrid. We could go to another location, a school classroom, where those have been successful, proven this last year. Granted, HB 2560 is to expand remote participation of public through technology, not replace it. Where is the equipment on the back order? We also are well known for our media and broadcasting classes out at the Stevens-Schellenberg Center. Visitors to district facilities. The board believes a better understanding of its educational program and improved relationship between the district and community can be developed through visitation of parents and patrons. Community use of district facilities, recognizing that school facilities are built and maintained using local tax dollars and that schools are a focal community point for community life. It is the policy of the board for the school facilities to be available for use of the community. The district seeks to cooperate with the community organizations and individuals who wish to use for educational, cultural, social, recreational, and civic purposes. Community involvement in decision making. Presentations at hearings, forums, and public meetings. Participation on community. The district is committed to inclusive representation reflecting the diverse community across the district. The input of the community should be given careful consideration. Public involvement, engagement, and communication program. The board believes public education can be improved through public involvement, engagement, and communications, resulting in increased instructions benefits for the students. The public engagement and communication programs should be planned, systematic, two-way process of communication between the district and its internal, external publics. The public efficiently and effectively inform all citizens of the district with purpose to the increasing understanding, to seek input and positively impact the health, safety, and success of students. Public involvement, engagement, and communications must include planned programs with public participation, deliberation, feedback to support the decision-making process and build trust. Communications must include internal as well as external audiences and must stress the dissemination of factual, objective, realistic data about the district that is transparent, timely, and understandable. Public involvement, engagement, communications must be dynamic, sensitive to change, as determined by events and evaluations of the program. Communications should be conducted with the approaches most effective for the recipients. Parents
You
groups.
got removed. Got removed from the meeting.
Did they give you a 30-second warning?
No.
What?
It just cut off. It said that you were removed from the meeting, and that's it.
I'm reading their policy.
Hello?
I don't even have a link to speak, and I'm up to speak.
I guess Eric is up.
Hey there, can you hear me?
Recording in progress.
Can you guys hear me?
You're on mute, Eric.
I'm on mute now. How about that?
Almost at it.
How about that, guys?
They're having to hear you.
Cool. Did Tara run out of time, or what happened there?
And I'm not even
At
on.
a time, your
I
time
don't
has
have the
begun.
link to speak.
So she ran out of time. Is that what happened? They were just confused at what happened. So clarify.
Yes, your time has begun.
Okay, guys. Hey, thanks for having me again tonight. I stand in front of you guys as what, through some lenses, is a man of privilege. I've had a lot of privilege where I've been able to read all the works of D'Angelo and Payne and Kendi. I've been fortunate enough to meet with Kamau Bell on a show of CNN, Shades of America. I understand what's going on. I've traveled the country talking with civil rights leaders in the south side of Chicago and LA, DC, and so on and so forth. And it's been obvious to me that there's a definite gap between the have and have-nots. challenge is, I believe that the public school system has the ability to level that playing field, but it's the obsession with equity that's actually proving to be the barrier to equity. And I'm going to explain this in the way of mountain climbing. If you mountain climb, sometimes you set the goal of getting to the top of the mountain, but most tragedies happen on the way down, not on the way up, because they don't set the goal of getting down safely, they set the goal of climbing the mountain. So if you set the goal of getting home safely, by default, you climb the mountain. This is what I think is the school district's doing with equity. I'll give you some examples. Currently, the school system teaches that society is unfair and the demons of our institutions are rooted in patriarchy and racism, and they'll be forever looming over all of our students, which I understand some of those problems exist. But what if we take another group of people and we introduce them to immigrants that have literally fled their country, risked their lives to have a chance at this system, are now flourishing, happy, prosperous, grateful, to give it a sense of optimism and hope and show them that success leaves clues. And we look for those clues to go in front of them and not just focus on only the nightmares. Which set of kids do you think are more likely to be set high goals and be optimistic about their future? I think Group B. Schools currently create an environment where we're teaching primarily only the histories, the evil histories of America. So much so that a recently USA-themed event at Clackamas had to be canceled because it was deemed controversial. What if we didn't talk about those histories, but we also gave it context? And we talked about that every single civilization ever formed since the beginning of humanity is based on conquest and colonization. And that since the American experience has started, there's never been in the history of humanity a society that's donated more money, more resources, or more time around the globe than this country. Which set of kids do you think would be a good citizen? Because they have pride in their community, therefore donate, volunteer, and strive to help others. I think Group B. There's also a group of teachers that are talking about things like this. They say the main difference between liberals and conservatives, this is a quote, or that liberals are open-minded and conservatives are closed-minded, and therefore you're all open-minded because you're all liberals. This is a teacher talking to students, right? What if Group B is taught the irony of statements like that, and those are merely a form of prejudice, and they're taught to discern the difference between a statement of fact or an opinion from a leader. I think Group B, that would be less likely to be manipulated if they're taught those skills. See, here's the deal. A side benefit, let's see here, sorry, just a second. Schools should turn out kids that are more empowered, independent thinkers, optimistic, and proud in their communities. But your quest for equity is creating a larger gap. We can and should agree that equity is something we should strive towards, but an institution of academia is proving not the proper tool for it. It needs to be a place of learning math, writing, science, and honest history. None of the things I talked about take any money or any other form of privilege besides perspective. If you really want to be a champion of equity, then be so, because currently we're failing the kids that you claim to champion. Thank you.
I can't get in.
Thank you, guys.
They have me on to speak, but I don't have a link.
Very good. You just have to call them next time. Make sure you do call them before.
Yeah, it's not in my junk or anything.
Good job.
So, you were going to speak. Do you want to speak now?
It's on, I'm scheduled to speak, but I don't have the link to get in.
Are they moving on, or are they waiting for Carol? Are you Carol Verner? They're calling you. Can somebody else get on her?
But I don't have the link.
They're saying they don't see it.
I never had the link. And I just checked my junk, it's not there.
You'll have to do it the next one.
So well, actually, you can come and speak here.
Okay, I'll say what I was gonna say.
Okay, go stand over there in front.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, I'll read it to you guys. Okay, here's what I put together.
go to, yeah.
Into the board next
You
time.
can, yeah, you can.
I stand here today not in support of one political agenda or another. I'm here to support the students of our school district. I'm here to plead to you, our board members, to open the meeting to the public so all sides are heard. Those of the students, the parents, and the community, because we care about the education of our students in this district. When students see their parents are not being heard, they see themselves not being heard. I have seen students riding on the bus, sitting 3 to a seat, shoulder to shoulder, but we can't have an in-person board meeting. We have students in classrooms, on sports fields, in gyms, cafeterias, playgrounds, libraries. Community members stand and cheer for our students, but we can't have an in-person school board meeting. We can have, as a community, a walk on campus for the new high school in our district without masks this past August, with board members in attendance, but in-person school board meetings are not possible. Some members of this board have traveled to other states as well as internationally, but we can't have an in-person school board meeting. When I moved to this district with my family, I began volunteering immediately in 2019. I coordinated the Scouters Mountain 5th grade celebration because nobody wanted to. It was me that rallied a we for the 5th grade students. You, the board, need to do that because for the past 2 years, our schools have been on pause. When chaperones were needed for field trips, I was there to volunteer. J.A. Biztown did a half day of training and have been there 12 additional days for the students. When Adrian C. Nelson High School was in need of a parent support network, I reached out to Principal Harris and asked for his assistance, and he gave me his blessing to begin the research for a PTA or a PTO. I am proud that a board was elected this past summer, and I await them doing something for the students, the teachers, support staff, parents, and us getting together. If masking our community was working, why isn't it working? This virus lives among us as thousands do. Vaccination isn't to save the community, it's to protect the individual who gets it. Please do not entertain a mask mandate or a vaccine mandate any longer. The greatest learning is from those who oppose points of view coming together, because it is where we hear each other. It is where the greatest listening of truth and honest education begins. Leadership is shown with our actions, and action isn't a stationary position, it's one that is constantly in motion. As I tell my children, those I mentor, those I tutor, those for whom I volunteer, ignorance is solved with education. Stupidity is a choice in seeking not to educate yourself. I end this with a plea to please open these school board meetings to the public. We need to see, hear, and be heard to help educate our students in this district.
Carol, please resubmit that for the next board meeting and make sure.
Shannon and Colleen, are you going to speak? Have all the parents? Yes, I think so.
How many words do you have in March?
Really, you submit every time and they never do it.
Not in August, because my daughter started in 4-H, so we were.
Tell me when.
Kiss my ass.
Tell me start.
Equity might sound great, but it is the opposite of equal opportunity. We all want equal opportunity.
I guess you gotta follow.
Equity is manipulating and dividing people into groups based on color, the color of their skin, their nationality, their religion, their gender, and whatever identity they seem to have at the time. There's no evidence that critical race theory will address students' achievement and behavior in a positive way. Kids in this school district are being used as an experiment. It is a concern that approximately $300 to $400 per hour is paid to an equity and inclusion staff member to do equity training on the criterion that has not even been vetted, nor has any best practices been applied. And where does the money come from anyway? Do you use student investment account funds or staff PD tuition reimbursement funds to cover the cost? We question the legal and ethical obligation and limitations we are paying for. This is such a copious amount to any other staff member. There is definitely lack of accountability and ethics going on here. Nationally, Oregon ranks 4th from the bottom in academics. That means Oregon ranks 46 of our other 50 states in America. So that means our kids are failing, and therefore you are failing. That's disgusting. And now Oregon has removed graduation testing requirements and the F grade. And instead of actually earning a diploma, our kids in Oregon get a participation diploma. With education facilities like this, how will our kids ever be able to compete as adults in the job market? We say stop telling Indigenous, Latino, and kids of color that they are inferior, oppressed, and need special attention because they have trouble learning, because their skin is a different color. Stop telling white kids they're bad and need to apologize for the way they were born. Kids are brilliant. Let's encourage and motivate them to achieve. Let's get back to reading, writing, true science, and true history. And I don't mean the 1619 Project. Stop CRT. Stop critical race theory.
Is there anybody else that wanted to speak? Oh, okay. Colleen?
Sorry, Colleen. Don't kill yourself. I gotta take off my glasses.
There are many topics I could talk about tonight because of the sickness that has enveloped our Oregon schools. Schools are for learning, not indoctrination. Tonight, I've chosen to talk about CRT. Critical race theory, or another name for it, culturally responsive teaching, is not factual. CRT teaches students to hate their country, hate their gender, and hate their parents. This agenda will only further divide our country and send us back to the era of segregation. Look at you, and you, and you. You're white, therefore you are racist. And if you say you are not racist, then you are wrong. You are the problem because you are part of white privilege. Is division and hatred what you want taught in our schools? I guess so, if you are Marxist or socialist and want to fundamentally change America. Look at you. You are oppressed. Is that what you want our young Black and Hispanic and Indigenous children to learn? That they are oppressed and not capable of succeeding because of their skin color? Oppression for anyone in the United States is a bold-faced lie, because we know thousands and thousands of dark-skinned people who are successful in whatever they set their mind to do. Do you want a white child to always feel bad because of his or her skin color? CRT teaches that if a child is white, then they are the oppressor, and dark-skinned children are oppressed. Again, that is a lie, because children are colorblind unless taught hatred by man. Whatever happened to being judged by the content of your character? I remember when a wonderful Black man first said those words on television. I watched it. Martin Luther King was right. He spoke about the goodness of what God created, whether black, white, yellow, or somewhere in between. He did not speak of the division and self-hatred that CRT teaches. We are all individuals created by God with God-given talents, and no man can take those talents away, no matter what color a person's skin is, unless you and you and you give in to the stupidity of CRT. Stop critical race theory from becoming part of the district's curriculum. Instead, begin teaching values and real education. You as a school board can take a stand and stop this madness that is taking over our schools. We do not want brainwashing or indoctrination into a so-called equity program in our schools that really teaches division and hatred. We must stop it here now. Take a stand for the principles and God-given values that built this country. You can vote to stop CRT from being taught in this district and start teaching that the quality of one's character is what is really important. School board members, I ask you to choose what is right, not what is politically correct.
Does anybody else have something to say?
And the mask mandates,
Yes.
especially for school kids, man.
Let us in. Let us in. Let us in.
every board meeting. This is like, please keep coming back. We're starting to do a tradition of meeting at Joe's Saloon at 5 before.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing.
And maybe even after, if that encourages anyone to keep coming. So anyway, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. So many of you have been here every time. And we want to make sure that if you haven't signed up, please, we want your contact information so we can start like an email list so that we can keep you up to date on any upcoming events. Okay?
If you want any kind of legal documents that will help you with pushing back on the mask mandates and the vaccines, I have those for you for free. If you put your name on the email, we can actually attach a cover letter. You can send that to your employer. You guys spread that around with all of your friends, family, because it is legal. It has the laws on there. It has the statutes, everything, federal and state. So if you need that help, just reach out to these guys. They'll help educate you as well, because we're trying to do that. We're just spreading the
And
message.
thank you to our team leaders here. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question real quick for the group. Wait for the time.
What the curriculum has in it.
Guys, I have a question. Like, you guys look at the board members when we're talking, they don't care one shit about what we're saying, right? I was cut off, Tara's cut off, like cut us off. Like, that's just how it is, right? So I'm trying to just think about, like, if we really want to have change, this isn't honestly going to probably do it. So sue them, or it's grassroots, right? It's acts of defiance. It's things like that, right? I'm just trying to process in my mind how we can take this sort of energy and then now make it a productive change. I don't know what that looks like. I just want to point out the obvious. I think that we all feel these people don't care about us, right? So, or our children, to be honest with you, right? They're represented. They're supposed to represent all of us. Name. So how do we then grow this in grassroots or have meetings outside of this, right? That's all I just want to ask.
So to answer Eric's question about that, here are some ideas that we have discussed as a group. That is first of all, if you are not aware, we had every board member and the superintendent served this week certified mail with a 9-page legal document, Freedom of Information Act document that specified all of the laws that are currently being violated with the vaccine and mask mandates. So it's specifically zoned in on those issues. And so they have been given 15 days to produce documentation. Now this includes things like, are you receiving any monies for requiring the kids to wear masks? Or, you'd have to see the lengthy 9-page document, but we're hoping that legal move on our part produces information that is incriminating. And if they don't provide that documentation, which they are legally obligated to do, then we do have an attorney that is looking to pursue that avenue. So that's when we might look into like raising funds for a legal fund for this. In addition to that, we have 4 board members that will be coming up that need their positions replaced. So we are looking to find people in the community by holding these meetings to bring out some, the top people that might be good candidates for that. Not only that, we're hoping to expose Libra Ford for the horrible leader that she is, so that we can make sure that the Clackamas County is aware that this woman wants to be a commissioner, and that's not happening. Okay, she's trying to unseat Paul Savas right now, and he is a conservative, regardless of how much you might agree with him. He's a conservative, and